All right, here we go. Last practice. First question, what's the consumer surplus before the tax? Well, that's easy. We have our equilibrium here. All these guys and gals on the demand curve are willing to pay more, but they get it for $5. They get a surplus. Cool. That's their surplus. Then all these producers down here, they're willing to sell it cheaper than the $5, so they're happy that they get to sell for more. Boom. Producer surplus. Maximize. All right, next question. What is the total expenditures before the tax? Well, $5 times 90. There you go. $450 is the total revenue before the tax. All that goes to the producer. Consumers are spending $5 per unit. Producers are getting $5 per unit. Consumers are spending a total of $450. Producers are collecting a total of $450. All right, next question. What is the tax per unit? Well, we know that the tax will shift the supply curve up and to the left. Here's our new equilibrium. What is the value of the tax? Well, you can find the value of the tax by looking at the vertical distance between the two supply curves. So here's our equilibrium at 6. Here's the vertical distance between the supply curve. It's 6. It's 4. The tax must be $2. All right, $2 per unit is the tax. All right, how much total tax revenue that goes to the government? Well, if this is the vertical distance, that's the $2 of the tax, right? $2 times 60. There you go. There's the value of the tax, 120. 120 is the value of the tax. Next question. Amount of tax paid by the consumer. What is the incidence here? How much of this, what do we got here? We got 2 times 60 and 120. How much of that 120 is paid by the consumer? All right? So how do you find that? You take the new equilibrium price by the buyers, what they're paying, minus the old equilibrium price that they're paying. So 6 minus 5 is $1. $1 times 60 means that of this 120, consumers are paying 60 of it. Well, if we know that the total tax revenue is 120 and consumers are paying 60, producers must be paying the other 60. All right, so in this case, the tax incidence is 50-50. The consumer and the producer bear the same burden. Now, I use a simple subtraction in order to find out the producer burden, but if you want to find the producer incidence and it's not that simple, the equation's simple. New equilibrium, or I'm sorry, the old equilibrium price minus the producer selling price. This is what they get after the tax. So the old equilibrium minus the selling price times the quantity. That'll give you the producer incidence. All right, so we figured out 5 and 6, now we're on 7. The total expenditures after the tax. Okay, 6 times 60. Okay, we got a skinnier rectangle now. This total area is the total revenue. 6 times 60 is 360. Before the tax, it was 5 times 90, so 450. So the tax takes away sales, takes away total revenue. All right, so this is my total revenue. This is all the money that's going into the register. How much, question 8 says, what is the total revenue for the firms after the tax? Of this rectangle, of this 360, how much does the producer get to keep? All right, well, we know that $6 is what the buyers pay. $4 is what the producers make per unit. $4 times 60 units, this is the 240. Producers get to keep 240. Did you forget what this box was? $2 times 60. That was the tax revenue. So this goes, all this money goes to the register. 120 gets to go to the government, 240 stays with the producer. All right, cool. Now, what is the consumer surplus after the tax? Well, higher prices, lower consumer surplus. Here's my new equilibrium. Less people get the bonus. Okay, less people are willing and able to pay more than 6. Therefore, those who are willing to pay more than 6 are fewer, and therefore the consumer surplus goes down. All right, last question. What is the deadweight loss? Okay, it's that triangle right there. How do we know? Well, 90 used to be bought and sold, but now only 6 is getting bought and sold. This is my new producer surplus. We know that this is the tax revenue, this box. This goes to nobody, all right? So where our surplus before the tax used to be, all right, that's messy. I'll cut you some slack, all right? Here is our consumer and producer surplus before the tax, okay? Right? There's a consumer and producer surplus before the tax. All right, after the tax, This becomes our tax revenue. So that surplus doesn't go to anybody, right? It used to go to consumers and producers. Now it's in the form of tax revenue. Here's our new consumer surplus. Here's our new producer surplus. This used to be part of consumer and producer surplus, but now nobody gets it, okay? Because I'm selling less, right? Buying less. So here's the deadweight loss. Poof, it's gone, and so am I.